Hello and welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we're taking a look at the high-grade Universal Sentry Gerbera Tetra from 0083 Stardust Memory. This is a pretty interesting suit. Originally it was a Gundam and got sort of retrofitted into a Xeon suit. I wish it got more than, 30 seconds of screen time before it got blown up, but hey, Rebellion exists, so if you want an actually good 0083, go read that. Anyway, before we start, I just want to point out, unless I go through and color correct like every single shot from this, it's going to be a pain for me. I'll put up a picture now. This is what the color of the plastic actually is, but yeah, it comes out a little bit more orange in the video. It's basically Char's pink, but like slightly darker. Anyway, let's start off the review, as always, by taking a look at the articulation. Okay, starting off with the articulation, the head is on a ball joint. And despite the incredible amount of bulk going on up here, it actually does get a decent amount of range. It can rotate pretty far to either side, can look down really far, up decently. I mean, yeah, you're not going to get much out of that. But it also has a fairly tight secondary hinge in here, so you can actually look a little bit further up. So there's no real problems with the neck. Moving on to the shoulder, and it's a little funky. There is an upwards hinging ball socket in there, but it barely moves. And that's actually because of the molding. It's not just like stuck on mine or anything. That said, you do get a pretty good amount of rotation, even with this massive chunk on the shoulder armor. It can actually rotate pretty freely. You can get the arm pretty much across the chest, which isn't really a problem. Also, this piece is on a slight hinge, so you can get the arm, about 90 degrees out. This is also on a hinge. You get a little bit more movement there, but it's not a big difference. Yeah, and you also have the arm on a universal joint separate from the ball joint, so it can move forward and back independent of the shoulder armor, which is nice. Rotation, the bicep, which is fairly standard. Just above 90-degree bend at the elbow, which, given the actual design of it, I can't really expect more. And the hands, as always, are on a ball joint. It's a little hard to show it off because of this piece. Now, the waist is actually 2 ball joints, but the top one doesn't really get very much movement. You get a little bit of side to side, kind of, but most of your movement is going to be coming from the one down here in the waist, which also doesn't get a ton of movement. It's just everything sort of banging against each other, just the actual design of the suit, you don't get a ton of movement there. Same thing with the hips. You get about 45 degrees out to the side, despite this being a universal joint. Just the actual armor stops it from getting any further out. That said, because there's no side or front or back skirts, you get a pretty good movement there. And you do get a rotation at the thigh. Back on there, you. The knee is actually really good. You get pretty much 90 degrees. Then you get another like 15 or 20 out of a secondary joint. So you get a pretty good bend, and considering how bulky this is, can't really ask for more. The ankle is okay. You get sort of standard rock side to side. Not a ton to the front, actually, which I'm a little bit disappointed in, considering you could easily fit an extra little bit in there. And not a ton to the back either. This is a space-type suit anyway, so you wouldn't really expect a ton of movement there, but yeah, you're not getting any crazy poses out of the ankles. That said, the articulation is surprisingly good, and given how bulky some of the parts on this are and some of the actual design elements, can't really ask for more. Now, moving on to accessories and, by extension, color correction, let's start off, as always, with the sticker sheet. Most of this is cameras, and honestly, it's pretty minimal. These 2 black stickers here are for eye in the front and also the little slit in the back of the head. Otherwise, you just get 3 mono eye stickers. Focus. Thank you. Because it isn't movable, so if you want to move it, you're gonna have to peel it off and put it back on, which obviously wears out the sticker. I'm glad they include 3, but I do kind of wish they just, had it move. Otherwise, this little slit goes right here on the chest, which is a little bit more annoying to put in than you would expect, but it's not that bad. And finally, this little wedge goes on the back here, and is very easy to put in. The little red one here is for the weapon. Otherwise, it's pretty much just black and gray. I mean, I did paint the black on the eye, but that's, not necessary. This bit of gray in here is part of this piece, so you have to paint that, but it's not too bad. Aside from that, a little bit of black in here, black in these ones. I did these in black, but you could also just do those with Gundam marker. Yeah, these verniers and the same ones down here I just did in black paint. Not really that big a deal. And aside from that, it's just the gray around this, but the centerpiece is actually gray plastic. And also the vernier back here, which I painted with a gray trim, but honestly you could just do it all in gray or all in black and it wouldn't make a difference. And the little gray circles here, and of course the gray on the feet, including the thrusters, but of course that's going to have to be painted. Yeah, otherwise it's pretty much just panel lining. But considering the suit's pretty much only 2 colors anyway, I'm not really surprised that there's barely any color correction needed. Anyway, now that the color correction has been gone over, let's get into the accessories. Starting off with the hands. You get 2 holding hands. Polycap on this one's a little bit loose on mine, but that's not that big a deal. Aside from that, you get a open splayed hand for the left hand, as well as a trigger finger hand for the right hand. And I'm not taking it off of this, because there's no real reason to. This is the rifle, which is actually just 2 pieces in the barrel, which I'm kind of surprised they even bothered separating that, but yeah, aside from that, it's just sticker. I did put black in this a little bit, but the rest of it's just panel lining. And it's kind of annoying to actually get it holding this, to be honest, and that's mostly just because it's a big rifle and a really bulky shoulder. They actually show it sort of over here on the box art, and that is just not happening. You're not getting it over here. At best, you're getting it underneath the arm here. That said, if you do get it kind of in the right pose, you can actually get it out in front of the suit. Again, the loose polycap on mine is making this a little bit more annoying than it should be, but yeah. You can actually get it holding it out in front of it, at least. Despite the amount of bulk bouncing against each other here, you can actually get it, posed. But aside from that, you actually do get 2 beam sabers, which are supposed to store in here, but they don't fit, so no real reason to take the effects out of them. And these do fit into the hands pretty securely. You don't really have to worry about them falling out too much. There we go. Yeah, this is not going anywhere. And finally, there is one last accessory for this kit, and it requires pulling this off. If I can, come on. Jump cut. And that is the really goofy, stupid-looking cone. I kind of feel like this was a waste, to be honest. I can't imagine a lot of people are going to be posing it with this. It requires a little bit of painting in a couple spots. I didn't even bother, because I'm not wasting my paint on something I'm never going to show, but this just sort of slides over here, and these have to fit underneath this, and it's just kind of an annoyance to get it on, but yeah, basically you just stick it on here, and it makes the articulation worse, and the balance worse, and it just puts a big safety cone sticking out the back. So yeah, forgive me for not putting it on properly. I really don't care for this at all. And as for a quick size comparison, the Gerbera Tetra is a little bit taller than the average suit, but not by much, like half a head. Overall, it's only slightly bulkier than the average mobile suit. So, to wrap this review up, I quite like the Gerbera Tetra, honestly. It's a nice design, and by By the way, is it just me or does it really look like Samus's Varia suit? I kind of feel like it was inspired by it, to be honest, but despite the rather bulky, let's call it, design, it actually manages to have pretty good articulation. So yeah, if you like the Gerbera Tetra, you can pick it up. The only thing is, I do kind of feel like the price is a little bit high, but I feel like it's inflated by the stupid back cone. Again, if you like that, fine. I think it looks silly. So if you were interested in getting it, maybe try and get it for like 10% off, but the price isn't too bad, and it is a good kit. But anyway, that's been all for this review. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. It helps a lot. Subscribe for future reviews and watch my backlog. Go follow me on Twitter for updates, and consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep bringing you reviews, just like this one. And as always, until next time, happy building.